Hope that rain ain't messing with that telephone.
Mother, daughter, wife and friend, teacher, keeper at home. These dwelling peace we have, common unity, a bond so strong, nothing can penetrate. I need your wisdom, you need my love.
I need to pick her up, so I just do this, right?
You always do.
Right. What the delay faster? Which one are you looking at? What do you look at? Because there's a delay. This one.
I need my sister, my sister. Sweet and quiet, kind and pleasant.
You hear how choppy it is?
Her patience is
What
free.
is it?
Thou will create in us a clean heart, and nothing can separate or tear apart the
What's that sound?
Yeah, that dang thing. 2 weeks ago, I got it, couldn't even let it up and down. Now I gotta take it apart and see if the cable came a loose in it.
I love my sister, my sister. Let's have a sister, sister. I love my sister, my
I'm a Hebrew, and I was born in Ohio. I am a Hebrew, and I was born in North Carolina.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Tennessee.
I am a Hebrew, born in Arkansas.
I am a Hebrew. I was born in Texas.
I am a Hebrew, and I am from Florida. I'm a Hebrew, and I was born in California.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in San Diego, California.
I'm a Hebrew. I was born in Indiana.
I'm a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Spain.
私はヘブルです。日本で生まれました。Soy hebrea. Nací en Puerto Rico.
I am a Hebrew from West Africa, Liberia.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Straitway.
We are Hebrew.
I love my sister.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Bless you. Greetings from Straitway Truth Ministries. I am the host every week of what we like to call Sister to Sister Blog Talk Radio. You can find us weekly on blogtalkradio.com/Straitway. But tonight, as you can tell, I'm in Pastor Dallas' chair. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be with my co-host, who I couldn't do the show without. And I say with her, but she's in Georgia. Jennifer, can you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am, Sister Ashley, I hear your voice. It sounds like there's a slight echo, and I don't know if everyone else hears that or not, but I'll just continue talking so that we can get the sound check that we need. But it is an honor and it's a pleasure to be here tonight for another episode of Sister to Sister. And it's also an honor to be on Pastor Dow's channel, to be able to see Sister Ashley, to see her smiling, beautiful face. And it's also an honor just to be able to be the co-host of this show. So thank you all for tuning in. And it looks like we've got 10s rolling in and everyone can hear us well. Can you hear me, Sister Ashley, just fine?
Hallelujah. You are just as choppy as the initial song of Blog Talk was for me. So on my end, I'm going to see if I can do anything about it. Forgive us for any delays. It's going to be a great show, and we'll get started really soon. I'm going to go see if Teacher Shane can pop in and help me out. I'm unable to hear her clearly, and here goes Teacher. I'm okay?
Going out good.
Okay, it's going good. Are you listening live or are you listening to Blog Talk, Teacher? All right, so we have chat room. Turn the music down. Thank you, Sister Sakina. And Jennifer is choppy. All right, so that's my updates. Jennifer is choppy. And I'm good on live. Blessings to you, Pastor Dow. And
Yeah, you good.
All right.
If there's any websites open, close it.
all right.
But not you.
Okay. Yes.
You good.
Yes,
Looks like
sir.
everything's fine.
Close all windows? No.
No, you close it, you're going to close everything.
All right. Yes, sir.
Let me just come around with
Here comes your beloved pastor. Thanks for your time, y'all. I know we're live. So, Jennifer was really choppy to me through the speaker. And I was choppy
That's
to her.
her end then. Let
Okay.
me see that.
All right.
Just hover over it.
It's all.
Is there two of them? Oh, here. Go here. Cut that out. Cut that out. That one too. That one too. And that one too.
Okay.
That one.
That one?
Yep. And leave the other one.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, let me get some sound checks again. Let's get started again. Bless you. Welcome, and thank you all for your continual support, for listening, for following everything that each of you do. Thank you for your offerings. Thank you for all the Facebooking and the social media and allowing the Father to work through you and get out the word. Everything you're doing in secret. Thank you so much. Jennifer, let's go ahead and start off with your acknowledgments. Let's get another sound check, and thank y'all so much for your patience tonight. Welcome to tonight's show.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I would like to acknowledge our Heavenly Father for His loving commitment to us, for His faithfulness, His mercy, and for continually sustaining us. I'm so thankful to just be a woman and to finally come into the understanding of what that means and how to function in the role that He has given me. And I want to acknowledge my master, Elder Rufus, for the patient man that he is while I continually learn to be who Yah created me to be. And I've learned so much about being a woman from watching and learning from my head and his relationship with the Most High. And it shows so much of what a true wife should be like. I'm so thankful to have his example. I want to finally acknowledge Pastor Dow on his biblical marriage series, bringing the raw truth to us. Whether you are single or already in a covenant, you will be greatly blessed by those videos. It's truly like having a loving father give you the breakdown of what marriage is, what it is not, how it should look, what you should look out for within yourself that may hinder you. And if you have not subscribed to Patreon, you have done yourself a major disservice. Because you're missing out on life-changing information that Pastor Dow brings. So bless you, Pastor Dow, for all you do and for all that you share with us. And that's all I have.
Hallelujah. So it sounds amazing to Pastor Dow. He's listening, and I know that many of you are saying she's choppy. She's choppy to me too.
Tell
So
me better than shortwave radio. They'll be all right.
better than shortwave radio. You're going to be all right. Thank you so much for your sound checks, though. So just bear with us. And also, Sister Jennifer, if there's anything you can do on your end, move around, wiggle, and go to a different spot, that's fine. But if not, let's get started. I, too, want to acknowledge, just as Sister Jennifer did, and hopefully all the quirks will work out. I noticed that we already have a few enemies in the chat room, so welcome to the enemies. Hallelujah. Can't be in the faith without enemies. I want to acknowledge the Father, first and foremost, for his loving commitment to Israel. Throughout all the years, he swore by none other than him and him alone that we would be a remnant still alive on this earth. So I'm very thankful for his mercy. I'm very thankful for my husband, my marriage covenant, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight. Not just my marriage, but yours too. And I'm very thankful for his patience and his leading guidance with me, because I need it. I would not be sound, secure, strong, confident, any of the things that you may see about my personality I would not be that without my husband, Deacon Bell. So I'm very thankful for my master, and I'm very thankful for Pastor Dow. He has played a huge role, and I got to say, he's my only shepherd. So he's played the only role when it comes to getting the word out, showing everyone how to be in their roles. He lays down his life continually. And I'm thankful to know him personally. I'm thankful to have him as a father. And I'm thankful to be in his seat. It's an honor for me, no matter what enemy, hallelujah, might be tuning in tonight and what they might say. So, Sister Jennifer, do you have any announcements? We could fill the shows with our love and appreciation for the men in the ministry. We couldn't do what we do without them. Agree?
I totally agree, Sister Ashley. We could not do what we do without them. You know, the words that we speak are words that we have been trained. You know, we've been properly trained by our leadership, by our men, our husbands, our pastors. So it's not our words. You know, I know we come on here and we speak to the sisters, but these are not our own words. These are words that have been put into us from our men. So these are truly the words of our leadership. This is not a show where, you know, the women run everything. This is not that type of ministry at all. So our men are the ones that are out front. And I wanted to just announce that, you know, we have Passover coming up soon, and we're going to be putting out the Be a Blessing list here coming up soon. So please start to save your money for the Be a Blessing list. We want to make sure that we bring what we need to sustain the guests, sustain ourselves while we're at the feast, and that we don't leave Straitway in a depleted state, that they are blessed from our arrival, and they're blessed as well when we leave. And that's all I have.
Hallelujah. I wanted to say a special welcome and thank you to every single mother or daughter of Zion that is with children, but with no master or no leader tonight. If you're listening in, the Father sees you. He notices you. You are in his hands if you are obedient. So I wanted to thank you for always listening. You do hear a lot of marriage talk in this ministry, and at times there has been pressure placed upon those who are not married, just because of the simple truth of preaching Yah's covenant and preaching the marital agreement, us being the bride, him being the master and the bridegroom, as well as the relationship behavior management that Pastor gives so eloquently. So welcome to everyone who is not in a covenant agreement. So I pray that you're able to apply everything you hear as we speak of earthly relationships. I pray that you're able to apply that with you and your Heavenly Master. I also would like to encourage everyone to please stay prayed up. Seek the Father with all your heart. I'm very thankful for Pastor's YouTube channel. And we have some really interesting letters to read tonight and some answers to get to. So we're going to get started. But I wanted to just say thank you to everyone who follows and supports Pastor on Patreon and on YouTube. So thank you so much to all the subscribers. And for anyone who is desiring that he be in the chair tonight, I am too desiring that he would be here. But since it's me, please endure with me, endure with Sister Jennifer. And she is still choppy to me. I have multiple screens open. I have audio correctly, so we're just going to proceed forth. And thanks for everyone who's listening. And I wanted to start off with a letter that we received via Straitway Helpmeets at gmail.com. Okay? I have before me, I have a lot of things before me tonight. I brought some really interesting stuff because I don't always have the visual presentation capabilities. I usually am in the tabernacle right here on this land, about a half a mile from here, when we go live on Thursday night, 5th day night. So I have emails, notes, and some things to show you visually. Are you ready, Sister Jennifer, for me to read the first letter? This letter is going to take the longest, my sister.
Yes, ma'am, Sister Ashley, I am ready.
All right. This is, and they will all be tonight, letters from anonymous sisters. They are all women who listen and follow us, or maybe even at a distance. I cannot speak for their commitment to this ministry, but I am greatly humbled, honored that you would take the time to email us and contact us. As I said earlier, it's straitwayhelpmeets@gmail.com. It's all lowercase and it's plural, straitwayhelpmeets@gmail.com. If you're having problems hearing us tonight on Blog Talk Radio, head on over to youtube.com, okay? So some of the things that I'll show visually, I'll make sure to speak about them for those of you who are not watching visually. So thanks again to everyone who took the time to ask your questions. We're going to try to get to as many of them as possible, this one being the absolute longest answer. What should a woman do who wants to live a Torah observant lifestyle, but her husband is against it? He doesn't want to celebrate feasts. You dressing modestly makes him irritated. And he doesn't want to have Bible discussions, period. And he doesn't want the kids, we say children, the kids to do it either. Can she leave? Pause. All right. That was the first communication from this woman, this sister. I sent her a thank you and told her that we would address it on the show. I don't know her, and you don't know her, so we'll keep it that way. And I sent a reply telling her not only just thank you, but this is a really good question to answer in many ways for many sisters or women that are listening. So we're going to go down different roads with this tonight, and some of it will apply to her if she's listening, and then some of it will apply to you. Let's go to you, Sister Jennifer, first with just your initial thoughts in hearing it.
You know, Sister Ashley, initially, my initial thought is that when you read letters or when you read questions such as this, you really need to get detailed information. You know, like it was stated that her husband is irritated by the fact that, you know, she desires to live holy. I don't have the letter in front of me, but, you know, it irritates him. And so the real question is, has he forbidden you to not keep the commandments? Has he forbidden you to not listen to Pastor Dow? Has he forbidden you to, you know, to dress holy? Has he forbidden these things, or is it that you say he's irritated by it? So there's a difference, you know. So that would be the first thing that I would want to know first, because a lot of times I think we assume a lot of things instead of getting the real concrete information so that we can answer. You know, a lot of times I believe that our hearts may be bent in a certain way, and we may word things in a certain way just so that we can get a particular answer or a particular outcome. And I'm not saying that for this particular question, but I run across it a lot. So that would be the first thing that really stands out to me. You know, has he forbidden it, or is it something that just irritates him? You know, so many of the women that are listening tonight were irritated by the truth when they first heard Pastor Dow. When they first heard this truth, they were irritated. But now they love it. They love the truth, you know, and the role of a true wife is that her conversation, her lifestyle, is what will lead her husband, or what will draw her husband to, you know, to really want that truth, that same truth. Her lifestyle is going to change him. So that's what I have to begin with, Sister Ashley.
Very good thoughts, and my thoughts agree when I read it. I know that she would potentially consider the time that she was taking up and the amount of writing that she's not going to discuss everything, because this is a hard situation or a challenging situation. It's a very emotional situation, so there is information that you are not going to be able to read, something this short, but she still wants direction and she's asking for help. I thought it was very interesting that she spent the first few sentences speaking of him, his beliefs, his thoughts, his opposition, And then the question, can she leave? Can she leave? So I wanted to say here, if any of you sisters are married and you hold in your heart that there's an option to leave, or if your marriage covenant was shaky from the beginning, if you married because of common law, like our brother Kabir is breaking down for us on his channel, if you married because of sexual interest and finally you just, as the world says, tied the knot, you potentially married on a very shaky foundation, or if you married with what you believe was God's direction, you still probably have a state marriage license. You probably have the powers invested in me, right? I now pronounce you. You probably had that form of instigation and commitment early on. And this society offers a plethora of options to every woman. And giving you those options initially is going to just wait for that perfect moment to throw in the towel. Because we don't, as a American nation, have endurance one for another or long suffering, and we don't have wisdom on how to build a house. So if you are, and I'm talking to many people, not just this sister, but if you're wanting permission to end a marriage, it's interesting that maybe there is 0 scriptural marriage duty violations. You have emotional struggles. You have opposition because you're now wanting to walk this thing out. So there is potentially a house divided that can't stand. Okay? So you have things going on, but now and only now, when you come into this way, this is the crossroads for you, each of you, woman, because now you have to exemplify the behavior of the word of the scriptures. Let me get my Bible. HallelujahScriptures.com, my favorite. So you're going to have to follow this now, because you heard it, you found it, you desire it, you want to commit, and now you're asking, can she leave? Interesting, right? Right, Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. It is very interesting, and our relationship with the Father is, a true example, a mirror of, it's a true covenant relationship. And it's never an option to leave Yah. And that is the mindset that we have to have. We have to be truly committed. He's not leaving us. So we have to really have the commitment in our hearts that it's not even an option to leave the covering. And I believe that a lot of us don't understand the importance or the value of covering. The covenant is our covering. And once you leave that covenant, that covering, then, it's just really a hard way. It really can be. And we're not talking about, a woman who is truly an abused woman, or, we're not talking about that at all. But even in that, I believe that we don't even understand, Sister Ashley, what abuse really is. I believe that when we are spoken to in a harsh way, when we're corrected, when we're rebuked, we think that it's emotional abuse if you come from this American mindset. And we're just not accustomed to the true ways of Yah. And so we have all these options in our minds of what marriage looks like, what it should be, but we have no idea what it is because that's not how we were raised at all. Sister Ashley.
Yes, ma'am. And I too wanted to interject this thought that if someone was interested in leaving, whether it is male or female, there is no woman in this ministry that will give them that authority, period, ever, regardless of circumstance, neglect, abuse, verbal abuse, physical, anything, because it is not our place to step into ecclesiastical judgment, or we have leaders and elders, we have men that are righteous leaders that judge without emotions according to the Torah's requirements for elders and leaders. So I did appreciate the question coming to us, because we do like to interact woman to woman, sister to sister, and pass anything up the chain if need be. It's going to be easier for you to try to reach a woman in this ministry and get your counsel that way. Also, when individuals call, the number you see behind me, you may speak to anyone. It might be the cook that's in the kitchen that answers it at this time. It might be a brother. But nevertheless, your behavior in those conversations are going to be asked about when we have to pass your call to an elder or leader or pastor or anyone. They're going to say, what's this call about? What did they say? What do they need? And they're going to file it appropriately and get back to each individual. So we have that establishment already set up in a very organized manner. So when I told her, thanks for the question, it was great to be able to use this platform to answer it, she immediately sent me back what I would call a part B. It says, it's critical when he finds me listening to Pastor Dow. He hasn't told me not to, but he certainly gets irritated. He was Torah observant when we met, but over the years decided he doesn't want to anymore. It's a childhood that our children recall, but now we're out here on a raft that's sinking with a man who won't grow. Okay, so this is part B, and in both of those circumstances or letters, A and B, none of her behavior is presented. It's just an option to leave. Okay, and that is incorrect information when you're wanting someone to help you in your circumstance. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. That's a very good observation. You know, when you are bringing information and you're looking for guidance, you're wanting to receive counsel, you really need to expose yourself. It's not about the other person. You know, you really have to give as much information about yourself as possible. You know, is there anything that you notice that actually provokes him? You know, not necessarily the fact that you listen to Pastor Dow, but what about your behavior that may provoke your husband? You know, is there anything in you that may provoke him? And another thing that you have to consider as well is if he was Torah observant at one point, you have to realize that, okay, something happened, and there may need to be some healing that the father needs to do in his heart. You know, something happened. So there's a point of patience that you really have to get to. The good thing is that at one point he was Torah observant. You know, so there's a lot. There's really a lot as far as what a wife could do and how her lifestyle could actually be a witness to him. You know, the lifestyle. Not the word, but the lifestyle. Sister Ashley?
All right, so we even have an interesting comment in the chat room. Thank you for your comments. And it seems like we might have let's say a conflict of direction at first. Okay, so let's continue to go on, because this is why Jennifer and I would upset a lot of women, because we believe in submission so much. All right, so give me a moment to prove our point. To conclude her letter, she says, I point at you sisters and I say, that's me right there. He doesn't respond. I show my daughter. She agrees. You all look like the mother of her childhood years. Why bring me out of Christian church just to leave me out here? Great questions, great letter, and thank you for your time. So here's one point to make. Your daughter, when she looks at you or looks at us and sees you or who you used to be, means that you have failed to upkeep holiness and behavior. You have failed to be a righteous example in your husband's house. And this is very penetrating, very hurtful words, I understand, because you have to come to the recognition of who you are in order to make or build your home. It is not okay in any circumstance to leave your husband just because your emotions are wavering. One of the first thing, period, that came to my mind was immediately, go with me for a moment if any of you are listening, and even if you're listening with disagreement, because I can sense that. I immediately went to Jacob's well. Remember the story of Jacob's well? The fountain of water. That the Messiah, he's tired, he's weary from traveling, and he's sitting there. Here comes a woman of Samaria to get water. She's going to draw this water out for her family, or whoever. And Jesus asks her for a drink. Okay? Why are you asking me for a drink? She says. When Jews and Samaritans have no dealings with each other. Jesus says, well, if you knew the gift from Yah, right, and who it is that even asks this of you, you would be asking me for a drink. So he would have given you living water. That was his words. Follow me. So she says, how are you going to get water? You got nothing. Are you greater than our father Jacob? This is a very interesting conversation that we only have a few details of. So she says, are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this well? And the conversation goes on, verses go on, and she finally, something clicks, and she says, give me this water so that I thirst not, and I won't have to draw here again. Now Jesus says, okay, go call your husband. She says, I don't have one. He says, this saying that you've said is true. You've had 5. And the one you're with now is not your husband. So he ministers to her. He's the Christ, etc., etc. Here's the interesting kick. The reason why I even told all of that. This woman, after she meets Christ, in this account, she immediately goes to the men of the city, which makes you question as a woman, why are you even going to the men to try to convince them or tell them anything? Potentially because of your whoredoms or your loose behavior and lewd behavior around men. So maybe she didn't have sisters or women to communicate. Maybe I'm looking too far into it. But she goes to the men of the city to try to convince them this is the Messiah. This is what's going on. Sister Jennifer, go to John 4. 4:41 and 42 is what I want you to read. But John 4:29, this is where it starts, and it says, come see a man. Now this is interesting. She says, come see a man. Come see a man. Okay? Some of you might have found Pastor Dow's YouTube channel months ago or just now, this week. You got to come see this man. You got to see this man. Right? Because she wanted everyone to experience what she had experienced too. John 4:39 says, many believed her. So she had influence. They believed. They ran. They saw. They heard. John 4:41, Sister Jennifer, 41 and 42.
And many more believed because of his own word, and said unto the woman, now we believe, not because of thy saying, for we have heard him ourselves, and know that this is indeed the Christ, the Savior of the world.
Because we heard him ourselves. This can be very offensive to a woman who is expecting her husband to be persuaded by her speech or to believe just because she believes. So to jump into your emotions and to see a division in your home because he's not listening to you, when this is where it can get a little hurtful, because I'm just going to speak truth. If you've had a marriage where you did not honor your word, you have not covered your body, you have not respected yourself for his wishes or his desires or his commands, you have kept your mother and father's opinion in your relationship, you have had no respect when he's speaking, you've not kept his house clean or learned him or asked what he wants of you, and then boom, you find Pastor Dow, you find the truth, you find Torah all over again. And I don't even know this woman's situation, but I know this is true for someone. You find Torah, and all of a sudden this man is supposed to listen and believe you when you haven't quite understood the disrespect that you've carried yourself in for some time, potentially even years, and now because your eyes are open to the truth, does that really mean that he's going to get the message from you, Jennifer?
That's a very good point, Sister Ashley. You know, if you waver on any level, if you waver with your relationship with the Most High, or you waver on any level at all with your faithfulness to Him, if you have been a woman who has torn down your husband's home, you know, some women have done so much damage in tearing down the home of their husband that, you know, when you come into the truth, it's not going to be just an overnight thing where your husband is going to just believe that you have changed. He's going to have to see the fruit. And, you know, a lot of times we don't want to take the time to actually exhibit and show the fruit. But if you have been a woman who have torn your husband down for years and years, you are going to need to show some fruit in order to see that you are a changed woman and that you're not wavering at all in your in the faith, in your relationship with the Most High Yah. And He is going to have to see that for Himself. It's not going to be based on your words. He's going to have to see your lifestyle. Sister Ashley?
Very true. To the man or brother who asks, "Who is this?" to me, because you see me instead of your pastor or a pastor, I am a child of the Most High Yah. I am a daughter of a living king. I have followed Pastor Dal for 11 years. He's my pastor. He's my father, my mentor, my shepherd. He married my husband and I, and he's given me the opportunity to talk on his YouTube channel tonight to be able to share our live show that we have weekly. So thank you for asking, but who am I? I'm Sister Ashley. 1 Peter chapter 3 says, "In the same way, wives, be subject to your own husbands." Right there automatically means there's going to be opposition. If I have to be subject to something, that means that what I think is not going to be correct. I'm going to subject myself to my husband so that if any are disobedient to the word, they without a word might be won by the behavior of their wives. If he is going to be won, it is going to be through your behavior. It is not going to be ever by you just saying, "Listen to this, and why aren't we doing this? I want to go there. I want to do. You need to give the father some time to go to work so that your home may be built up. Having seen your blameless behavior in reverence. He is supposed to, as a husband, see your blameless behavior in reverence. Blameless means that even if you have a cause or a reason to act out of nature or Christ-like nature, you are blameless. Even though tempted to disobey or not submit or not subject yourself to your husband, or tempted to listen to the voices that you've subjected yourself to in this society for so long, when tempted, you are to be blameless in behavior. Verse 5 in 1 Peter 3 says, "For in this way, what way? The way that I just spoke of, the godly behavior that is required, the blameless behavior in reverence and subjection to your husband. In this," it says, "for in this way, in former times, the holy women who trusted Yahweh also adorned themselves, being subject to their own husbands." And they give Sarah as an example. In this way, in former times, in the way that you are watching the women do here at this ministry, in this way, also in former times, the holy women trusted Yahweh. So your issue is going to now be not an issue at all. It's going to be, okay, I'm a wife of a man who may have become bitter at the Most High. You may be able to see his faults and all the things that are wrong with him. He may be doing or saying many things that are against what you believe, but here's what's going to make you a holy and righteous woman. That is your endurance. Everyone is so quick and easy to throw in the towel. Just as you can say, "Oh, she has the freedom to leave. She has the freedom to leave." Jennifer, can you see me right now?
I can see you. Yes, ma'am, Sister Ashley.
All right, I'm going to get something for y'all. I didn't even dust it. See this, everybody? I don't even know if it's backwards to you. I don't think it is. This is my marriage certificate. This is a Straitway Truth Ministries marriage certificate. Maybe you didn't know that we had such a thing, because you know that we aren't married by the state. We're married by Almighty Yahweh. I'm going to read this to you. Marriage certificate. This is to certify that Douglasville and Ashley Bohannon were united in holy matrimony before Yahweh, Jesus the Christ, family, and friends. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. Ephesians 5:33. On the 25th day of July 2010, by Charles W. Dowell Jr., minister. Witnesses to this marriage covenant. I have witnesses to my marriage covenant. Not only just Yahweh and all of heaven, Teacher Shane McKnight, my stepfather, Edward Bridwell, Elder Douglas Becker, who has been a part of this ministry and a friend and brother of Pastor Dowell's for 20 plus years, Kyle Claiborne, who does not profess to know the Father, and Charles W. Dowell. For this cause shall a man leave father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Why am I reading this? Why would this even matter? Because my sisters, this piece of paper means absolutely nothing to you if your marriage was built on sand to begin with. This paper and this covenant means everything to me, because we both uphold our roles in this covenant. This is a piece of paper that can be burned. It can be nothing. But the honorable people committed to this certificate and covenant make it everything. And that's why I bring up the point, Jennifer, I'm going to you. That's why I bring up the point that what was your marriage built on to begin with? Because now you're going to be at a crossroads coming to the truth. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. You know, when you come into the truth, you are truly called to live what you read in that book. And, you know, I wanted to comment on, you know, so many women take matters into their own hands, you know, instead of allowing the Father to actually deal with your heart and then deal with your husband. But, you know, so many women are looking for Yah to deal with the husband instead of looking at themselves. And so when that happens, a woman wants to take matters into her own hands, to correct her husband, to do whatever she needs to do so that he can live up to, quote-unquote, her standards. And it really doesn't even, it becomes about her and not the Father. And when you've done that, then Yah cannot even deal with him. He cannot even deal with his heart, because you've decided that you don't even need him to intervene on your behalf. And, you know, Sister Ashley, you talked about, you know, a man leaving. He leaves his mother and father, and he's cleaved to his wife. And when I think about that, I think about how many women have allowed their natural family into their marriage. You know, their mother. They still have the opinions of their mother. They still share everything with their mother. And I guarantee you, if you have heathen family who's not in the faith, they are not going to understand what true biblical covenant is. They are going to think that you are an oppressed woman. Why do you call him sir? Why do you, you know, just continually wait on him, hand and foot? He can fix his own plate. They're always going to insert their own opinions, and their opinions matter not at all. So when you have never left, when you have not left your mother and your father, and you allow natural family members into your marriage, is going to be nothing but chaos. You know, how can you truly cleave to your husband when you have family members that are always questioning his authority, when you have allowed them to come in and to bring their unwarranted opinions, their opinions that do nothing but tear your husband's home down? So, I believe that is very, very important, to not allow natural family into your marriage. You shouldn't be discussing your marriage, your private matters at all with natural family. Not at all. Sister Ashley?
Interesting that the Messiah would say the one that you are with is not yours now, meaning she's with a man, as some of you are with a man. It would be your heart that would be committed to a covenant. Okay, let me read a few statistics for you. I know some of us bored with statistics, some of us enjoy them. These are divorce statistics, and I personally appreciate all of the information that Pastor Dow puts out about marriage relations on his YouTube channel. First record of divorce was January 5th of 1643 in Massachusetts, when a man named Dennis Clark abandoned his wife to be with another woman. Did he abandon her really? Did he just take on another one and she couldn't deal with it? Don't know, but that's the first record, 1643. Okay? What happened before all that? We know Jeremiah 3:8, right? Maybe we'll go there in a minute. That's the Most High putting away Israel and divorcing. But remember, the man was sovereign over this decision in pretty much 100% of the cases. Even if the woman's, let's say, his marital responsibilities were not upkept, or his duty of marriage was not upkept, he was still to file a bill of divorce. That wasn't something that the woman was going to initiate because she was emotionally harmed. All right. In 1969, California became the first United States state to pass a no-fault divorce law. That means it doesn't matter why you want a divorce. It doesn't matter if you've been hurt or not hurt, or he's done something or he hasn't done something. We're the first U.S. state to pass a no-fault divorce law. And from 1975 to 1988 in the U.S., in families with children, wives filed for divorce in 2/3 of all cases in California. Interesting, wives. 50% of all couples married in the United States in the 1970s ended with divorce. 50% of all marriages in the 1970s ended with divorce. We are at 2.5 million weddings in the U.S. a year. 2.5 million weddings in the U.S. a year. 69% of the time, women report less satisfaction with their marriage than men. 69% of the time. African American women have higher rates of divorce than any other racial group on earth. Those are just some facts for divorce. Going back to the thought that the man was sovereign over this decision, which I know there are so many scenarios that we couldn't potentially even discuss tonight. There are scenarios where the woman may leave. His marital duties and obligations are not being met, etc. But as I said, we're not dealing with that angle because we as women of this ministry do not represent division. We represent restoration, putting all attempts in to build first. I consider, Jennifer, what do you think about the statistics before I go on?
Sister Ashley, I'm not surprised one bit, and I know we are not speaking about this, but a while ago we did a show, and we talked about the Willie Lynch letter, and the purpose of that letter was to divide the home. It was to strip the man of the authority and to give the authority to the woman. And when you read the statistic, about black women, melanated women, when you read that statistic, you think about that curse, and you think about that letter. That same curse is still on our people today. It truly is. It really has done its purpose to strip the black man of his role and to give the woman the power. And that's what America has taught. Feminism has given women power, and that is what this American society wants. The Most High gives strength through meekness, a meek and quiet spirit, a meek and quiet character. The Most High gives strength that way. And I'm telling you, what the Most High does is completely opposite of what this society has done to us. So that's what I think about. I think about the Willie Lynch letter when I hear those statistics. Sister Ashley?
Jeremiah 3:8. And I saw that for all the causes for which backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. This is the Most High Yah. Yet her treacherous sister, Yehuda, did not reverence, but went and committed whoring too. So if you notice, it is by her behavior, and he is sovereign of that decision, that I'm now going to put her away, giving her a certificate of divorce from the beginning. Now, there's an interesting story in 2 Samuel 23, chapter 20, verse 3. Go back a few chapters if you're interested and find out that David, many wives, concubines, etc., has some of his concubines that decide to side with his son Absalom and even lay with his son Absalom. Okay, so there's a lot of division going on and a lot of story that I'm not going to tell. But if you'll go 2 Samuel 20, verse 3, Sister Jennifer, I want to show you the difference of these women.
Yes, ma'am. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them inward, and fed them, but went not in unto them. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood.
Isn't this interesting that these women, and you know they're not old at the time that they were shut up, they lived in widowhood. This says two things to me. Number one, it speaks of the character of David, that even though he was wronged by these women, he's still, being a king, of course, and having provisions, he supplied for them. He put a guard and protected him, and he gave of them, never going into them again. But none of them said, I'm out of here. I am out. They never had sexual relations again with David. They remained until their widowhood. Look at these women who were very treacherous, whorish, and had committed a sin, or an unforgivable sin, I guess you could say. Not unforgivable, but this David's not going to return into them. They're unclean. His character commitment really stands out, and their character commitment really stands out, because we are so quick as women today to throw in or throw away everything that we believe we stand on because we have a man that is not measuring up to our expectations. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. Sister Ashley, how many times do we actually look in the book and see the character of a man such as David, who still fed these concubines who were unclean? They committed an unclean act, and they were unclean. How many times do we look at this account and look at the character of David and just really, really focus on that? We a lot of times take the other examples, the other examples of that we see today. We rarely go back to the book and look at this, and we think about these women who were content just to still be under his covering. They still lived. They were in a shut up state until it says unto the day of their death. They lived in widowhood. They were not. It doesn't say that they were old women. They lived in widowhood. He never went into them again, and they were content. How many of you women would be able to be content just being under his roof, being fed, being clothed, with no conjugal rights at all? Sister Ashley?
Yes, ma'am. So as we said earlier, and some of you are just now tuning in, there's so many marriage situations. So us speaking tonight is not handling them all. And it's just a point that we're making, that so many are wanting permission to end something without scriptural marriage duty violations. And that we're not going to support. What is going out free, by the way? Because the letter says, can she leave? You're asking to be free, correct? So let's consider Exodus 21, where if the man doesn't do this, and this, which is basically maintain his sexual relations, She can go out free without money. Guess what, though? The first wife has the right to divorce her master. He's still sovereign of this choice, but not because of the addition of another woman. This is Exodus 21, but the failure of the husband to maintain the duty of marriage. So I think we need an understanding of that duty of marriage. But not even just that, because let's say the husband isn't lining up to that. You as a woman being a builder of a house can actually win him over. If I had not, of course, read this in the Word, but seen this with my eyes throughout this ministry, there are people who live, if you want to say, divided beliefs, but he dwells with her peaceably. There are women who have won their husband over by their chaste conversation. This was not easy. This was not, I'm just going to throw in the towel because he doesn't agree or he's not listening to Pastor Dow. If we had a paradigm shift in our mind, sisters, and we said to ourselves, divorce is not freedom, let's look at it as a punishment. When the Most High severed Israel or divorced them or with a bill of divorcement, what was some of the blessings they walked in, right? You aren't going to really find many, with the exception of the few righteous. A divorce was a separation, a severing, almost a punishment in a way, because you are not upholding your duties, right? So what is this freedom that everyone's seeking to be free from? What is going out free? Now, Pastor has plenty of videos on this channel. If you type in divorce in his search engine, if you type in marriage or remarriage, divorce and remarriage, etc., I watched them all just for tonight's show, so that nothing we spoke was outside of what we are taught, and I made myself a student of this subject to the best of my ability. But what is going out free? And what is going out free? If he didn't do his marital duties, she was to go out free without money. Consider this, because are you willing, if you are wanting to end a marriage, are you willing to walk away from that marriage without those children that you call yours that are really his? Are you really willing to go leave the car that you drive, leave the money that he's given you or the clothes, anything he's bought you, leave it all. Go free. Go without being paid. Go without a blessing. You're not, let me bring this back up again. This is just a piece of paper, right? Means nothing to many of you. Means nothing. But interestingly enough, when you end and you so-called go out free and you believe there's no judgment for that, you're just walking away from, we had differences and it's acceptable, so I'm going to discard. Let's say, for example, this came from the state, okay? This is my marriage covenant, and I decide I want to go out free because he's not doing this, this, and this, okay? So, what happens? Well, instead of this, they get rid of this. This is my marriage certificate, right? They get rid of this, the state does, and they give you this. And I'm just going to ruffle a lot of papers, right? Because you're about to get a lot more papers on a system that you have to obey. You're going to get a lot of more, legalities and restrictions and what to do's. No, the scripture says you go out free. You don't have a bunch of papers. You don't got any money. You don't have any children. No. Are you willing to walk away from him now? Does it become as easy as it was when you typed the question, can she leave? Because now your behavior comes into play. If you were to, this is interesting in Romans. In Romans it talks about Abraham. He was weak in years, but he was not weak in belief, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness. Here's the interesting thing that we can say in our lives. We need time frames, periods of time, seasons of change, and commitment to the Father that can actually be imputed to us for righteousness. So before I'm ever going to walk away, even if you go over to Deuteronomy 15:12, okay, and you look at the Torah where a woman or a servant, it says a servant can go free. And Pastor speaks on this on his YouTube videos. And he says a woman has a higher status than a servant, of course. But if you look at that reflection, Deuteronomy 15, I hope I get my verses right because I'm just, shooting off my mind. If you look at that circumstance and that situation and those servants went out free, it is because they served for 6 years. On the 7th, they go out free. Do you have any period of time where you have served your husband? Do you have any period of time where you would like to impute that to your righteousness, to be able to stand before the Father and said, I gave my all before I left? There's something to think on, Jennifer.
Sister Ashley, that's a really good point. How many wives really consider themselves servants? You know, how many wives are actually excited to be a servant? You know, it's not about you being served, wife. It is about you actually serving your husband, your master. You know, you are to serve him. And, you know, like Sister Ashley said, divorce is not freedom. And if you are continually blaming him, never looking at you, never looking at your faults, you know, your problems are going to go with you. If you've never dealt with yourself, you've never dealt with your back talk, you've never dealt with your challenging of authority, your rebellion, your nagging, you will not make it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to continue in this faith without addressing those issues. And so when you leave and you realize that the problem is still there, because the problem is actually you. The problem is that you have never dealt with the things that have led to you even wanting to leave. You can't escape yourself. You just can't. You have to deal with yourself. It's not everybody else. It is you. Sister Ashley?
There was a question in the chat that says, are you saying that she would go without food? Yes. She would go free without money. Well, the word doesn't say that she would go with anything, so you can take it in, let's say, your perspective and say, oh, he probably gave provisions or food or sent her on her way, or maybe gave her a mule. Maybe he did. But to go free without money, right, because you are deciding that you want to leave. How could it be fair if you decide you want to leave and you want to take everything with you? That's very selfish. Let's go to HuffPost.com. This is the magazine in this country called Life magazine. HuffPost.com has an article I'm going to read just a little bit off of. Top 5 reasons why divorce is a blessing. Number 1, now your life is all about you. Number 2, you'll learn how strong you are. Number 3, your future is yours and yours to create. So now start dreaming. Number 4, you were living in a toxic environment for months or years, so now you can create your own environment. And number 5, you have time to focus on you, your children, your friends, your work, and yourself. Jennifer?
And those words are true. You have time for you. You know, and that was written by a woman, I'm sure, who has no covering at all.
Right.
You know, I find that the women who have the most advice, this is in my personal life, before Elder Rufus and I got married, before he you know, took me on as a wife, I was so blessed. But I got so much advice from quote-unquote friends of mine. You know, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? And none of these women were even married. You know, because they saw the type of man. They saw that he was actually a man. And none of these women were married. And those were the ones who wanted to give me the greatest, the most advice, the ones who were not married. You really need to think about this. You really need to consider this. Well, at least, you know, have separate bank accounts. Put a stash aside. So just in case things don't go right, you'll have something to fall back on. That was the type of advice that I was given, and so eventually I cut all of them off because I knew that listening to foolish advice would lead me in a foolish place where they are now, even to this day. Sister Ashley?
Very good. So once again, and probably for the last time, I'm not sure, can't commit that, this is my marriage certificate. It means everything to me because I keep and honor my word. Now, I realize that there are many marriages that would be listening. There's the woman that's trying to understand why her husband is even following this ministry. There's the man that's looking at me tonight going, how the hell can a white woman know anything about the Most High? There's so many different mindsets. And for this marriage certificate to actually mean anything to me, and it means so much, even though it's just a piece of paper, is because my husband committed himself to love me by providing respecting, food, clothing, conjugal rights, you name it. An amazing husband. I vowed to respect, honor, serve, and obey. Because we have that commitment, and as Pastor said last Shabbat, we are men and women of our word, we have a very successful marriage. And this ministry, with Pastor Dow's leading and direction, puts together many, many, many successful marriages. And if you have not seen them or witnessed them or been a part of, it would be foreign for your mind to even try to grasp what a marriage is even supposed to look like. We have a woman that's married to Pastor Dow for 35 years now, that has no problem finding what he wants, looking for what he needs, ironing his clothes, making life easier, praying for him, etc. I've seen her servitude since the day I met her. When you make a vow to Yahweh your Elohim, do not delay to pay it, for Yahweh your Elohim is certainly requiring it of you, and it shall be sin in you. When you abstain from vowing, it is not sin in you. Okay, I say that just because we vow a lot, right? A lot of people vow for marriage, that they're going to do this till death do you part, etc., but it meant nothing to you. It meant nothing to your heart, because just like that woman at the well, that man you're with is not your husband. And if you're going to commit him to be a husband to you, then you're going to have to change your nature and your behavior, submit to him, and put the Most High into your marriage, because you're married by a state that is governing your decisions and your opinions. And that's the truth. So you can look at your relationship like, wow, the man I'm with ain't even my husband. And here's the interesting other point. You can bring the Most High Yah down like the image of corruptible man. And you can say, you know what? This man is not doing A, B, and C for me. The Most High is. I'm dressing this way. I'm doing this. I'm trying to figure all this out. And I'm doing the best that I can. And he's doing this, this, and this. No, I'm going to go serve the Most High Yah. I'm going to leave him. But you know what you did? You've just gone a-whoring after many lovers. Yah, seated on his throne with this earth as his footstool, is no fool. You're not going to just utter Christ's name or dress a different way and believe yourself to serve him, when the way that you would exemplify your servitude for the Father is by serving a man, especially if you have a reason to or let's say if you have division in your home and you have disrespected him. Why not try with your best efforts to gain him with all your heart, all your soul, to show the Father how much you love him? Jennifer?
You know, Sister Ashley, I see a question in the chat room where someone is asking if we could do a broadcast for the sisters who are not in covenant, who don't have an earthly covenant. And, you know, I believe that this is for you too, because this is just really a prime example of, you know, submitting yourself to the leadership. This is why it's very important to submit yourself to the leadership before you get into a covenant with anyone at all. Because when you're under submission of the leadership will be able to guide you in the right direction. You know, this is not something that you would put into your own hands. You don't take these matters into your own hands. A lot of times women are so rejected and looking for approval that they will agree to be in covenant with anyone. And so this is why it is important to listen to broadcasts like this, to letters like this, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you're wanting to backtrack, you know, where you're regretting a decision. This is why it's important to go to the elders, to go to Pastor Dow. If a man approaches you and he is interested in taking you on as a woman, he should not be speaking to you about that. That should go directly to leadership. It should go directly to leadership. You should not be having any side conversations about these matters at all. This should go directly to leadership, and it is for a reason. And I know some of you may say, you know what, that's just too much control. But it's actually love. It's actually protection. You know, a woman is to be covered from cradle to grave. That man should go to that woman's father And if you don't have an earthly father and you are, or an earthly father who is mature in the faith, and if you are truly submitted to this ministry, and when I mean submitted to this ministry, I mean really following what Yah is telling you to do, really listening to the messages, getting your life right, you know, truly living for Him, not being hypocritical at all, then you don't have anything to fear at all about, you know, submitting to this ministry and having someone who is interested in you going to pastor. If he's not going to pastor about you, then that should speak volumes. If this man comes directly to you and says he's interested in you, that speaks volumes. That's all I wanted to say. Sister Ashley.
If you were interested in divorce as a sister, I would, as we said earlier, we don't give any advice for that because, you know, some of you ask in the chat room, is it okay for, you know, is she supposed to stay married to someone who is of mental challenge, or, you know, something's wrong with his mind, or etc. And as we said earlier, we do not have any involvement as women in this ministry to divide homes or to make a agreement with, okay, you need to leave. Yes, he has problems, she has problems. Okay, this is not working out. So of course it's going to happen, and it has happened. Many women are not pleasing to their husband, they leave. Many men are trying to get their women to come on board with why we dress the way we dress, or behave the way we behave, and they're not on board. They're throwing their middle finger up to the Most High and the man, and they're saying, we're out, you know. So yes, divorce happens, but I wouldn't consider leaving or being free or any of that without taking a very serious look at the potential judgment that you would receive for your actions in that marriage. As Pastor teaches in his marriage series within this YouTube page, divorce is a regulator. So yes, is it necessary? Absolutely. We're not saying that you should never leave your husband. You should obey everything he says, no matter even if he's wrong, right? We're not saying that, so don't get that twisted. But divorce regulates. It protects against estranged behavior, okay? So estranged behavior is outside of marital duties and responsibilities, outside of Christ-like nature or Torah behavior. So this estranged behavior that some of the women are responding in, they're committed to their other gods. They're committed to this nation or another culture. They're not committed to the ways of the Most High Yah. So it's going to happen. But divorce is not sin, okay? Yah hates the putting away, right? The abandoning, the taking off, the fleeing, the neglecting, the abuse. Of course, he's not going to let that man away from righteous judgment. But Pastor does a very good job in his video series on this page of talking about the husband's side, whether he is dealing with a rebellious or adulterous woman, and then the woman's side where the man has whoredoms or, you know, venereal diseases, etc. Do you know there's 25 different strands of sexual transmitted diseases? 25 doesn't sound like a big number, right? But you can contract more than one of those strands with just one sexual interaction, and STDs are on a huge high rise. Can you go to 1 Peter 3:6? I think we did a sufficient job on trying to just break down any evil intentions that this, spirits might be ministering to this woman, getting her to want to leave her husband when she hasn't even seen how beautiful it could actually be if she's determined to restore as much as possible. Get that period of time of imputed righteousness. Let the Father be your advocate before you make any decisions based upon what you believe is behavior that is unnecessary. So, and just as the woman at the well, it's not your responsibility to persuade him by the word. Some men just need to see themselves, okay? So chase conversation at home. No more pointing at anything on the screen. No more saying, come look, Pastor Dow. Because this man, noticing your behavior in times past and your unstable marriage, is going to consider this either a jealous situation. You have another man trying to lead my wife from a YouTube channel, or you have another man trying to get in my business and you're letting him, so there's a lot of things. Your husband is a protector, actually. So regardless of anything that might be faulty from what your perspective is, he's been committed to you. I don't know how long, but that commitment, I guarantee, would allow him to step in front of a bullet for you or his children And that's the natural covenant that a man agrees with, whether he's in the faith or not. He can be a protector and a provider, and you can just live and serve him as you serve the Most High all the days of your life. And honestly, if you looked at divorce as fleeing from that protection, maybe if you saw divorce as, well, if I choose to leave, my hair will fall out. If I choose to leave, maybe my heart will fail, or my kidneys will fail, or I'll get some sickness. And I'm not speaking that or that would happen, but what has convinced you in your mind that you are going to be blessed if you leave, or free if you leave? Okay, that's the mindset we're trying to go towards. So one letter took a long time. I knew it would. We're going to a phone call. I took a phone call, Sister Jennifer, the other day, and you're going to read 1 Peter for me on this one. But this woman says, I feel like a maid. I feel like a maid, okay? Married for 20 plus years. She feels like a maid. Her husband listens to this ministry. Her husband barks orders. I'm trying to be a good wife. And after 23 years, this is the thanks that I get. He's calling me. He's demanding this. He's doing that. Now she's wanting to speak to Pastor Dow. I don't know her. I don't even know if she would be listening tonight. I don't know how closely she follows. Demanding for or wanting to speak to Pastor Dow, knowing, just like I said earlier, when you call this ministry, if you cannot get past some of us, you're not ever going to get to the elders if you cannot respect the person that you're talking to. So we try to handle it the best way we can, because they cannot call hundreds of people back. They are one man, and they are working hard. So she's trying to be a good wife, but after 23 years, this is the thanks she gets. He's not allowing her to see her children that are graduating. I won't give a lot of personal details in case she will be restored by this conversation, but no more pagan holidays, no more this, that, and the other. And she was very respectful. But she wanted help, and I think my words were not making an impact, and I kept my words very short, and I actually allowed her to talk for a very long time, which is longer than I would usually allow, so that I could use anything that she said to be a teaching tool tonight, because I knew what we were talking about in the show. So it's been a major role reversal. So he's trying to get his house back. That's what I told her. He's trying to get his house back. Well, he has always had his house, she says, and she has always known the Most High Yah. She's always had a relationship with God, and etc. 1 Peter 3:6.
Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement.
Obeyed, called him master. It wasn't because he didn't give her direction. She called him master because he gave her direction often. And for her to not want or have that, I don't want to feel like a maid, I thought it was a really unpleasant example of a marriage, no matter how long you've been committed to one to another, because you should know after 23 years what it takes to please him. You should have harmony in your home. And honestly, I understand how you can come on board with the ministry or watch from a distance, and you're looking at your spouse and all their characteristics are changing, their personalities changing, and it presents a lot of fear. Read 1 Peter 3:6 again.
Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement.
Not afraid with any amazement. We can bring that up to our modern marriages by saying that regardless of the decisions and the directions that he's giving us, we are not afraid to follow, and we do not have any, oh my gosh, what are we doing? What do you mean I can't go to see my children? Do you know your relationship with your husband and your covenant with him is so much more important than you going to a graduation? But because of role reversal, and because of, let's just say, for example, because I don't know the situation, if you've allowed the children to be in between you for all these years, you're going to be led to follow them, listen to them, support them, and do what they desire, and his desires are far from your mind. Jennifer?
You know, Sister Ashley, a lot of times there are situations in marriages where the woman has been in control for so long, and she has done it in a way where she has made him think that he was the one that was in charge, and there was peace in the home for the woman. The woman had peace because she was the one that was actually in charge, and the roles were reversed. She got to call the shots, do whatever she wanted to do. She was the one that was turning the man's head behind the scenes. And so when he comes into truth and he realizes that the roles were reversed and that the order is wrong, completely wrong, there's a major paradigm shift that has to take place. The woman has never experienced love before. And now the man is able to love because he's getting his home in order. No more pagan holidays. No more this, no more that. Maybe the children are wicked. Maybe there doesn't need to be, you don't need to see the children. And so the woman is finally being loved, and so many don't understand what true love is when a man finally takes his role and puts his foot down and loves you the way that the Bible has called him to love you. So we have to get accustomed to what love is, but, so many times we don't know what love is because we don't know Yah's word. We don't know his law, and we get offended because we don't have his law in our heart. We don't have a love for his law. Sister Ashley?
Ecclesiasticus in this book, this is the Apocrypha. I found out about this book. Mine, you can tell, it's got some use and some years on it. Found out about this book through Pastor Dow's teachings. All right. This is in the middle of your 1611 Bibles, but it's been taken out in so many other translations. So we purchased it. It's $12. You need it. Was $12 for me. Ecclesiasticus 25:22. A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. A woman, if she maintains her husband, is full of anger. So if you have a role reversal going on and you're trying to maintain his decisions or question what he's doing, you're not going to have any peace. And it's not going to make sense to you at first. Obeying and submitting is not going to make sense, or let's say be easy at first. It's just something you have to do. Ecclesiasticus 26:26. A woman that honors her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonors him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. And this is just a small statement to say that there will be judgment for our marriage agreements. And going all the way back to the year 1653, the first record of divorce, how many hundreds upon thousands, if not millions, of divorces have occurred, and these individuals have not escaped judgment for their pride and their dishonor. Ecclesiasticus 28:25. Weigh your words in a balance, and make a door and a bar for your mouth. Weigh your words in a balance. Consider what you're going to speak before it's spoken. Because if you knew you were going to receive judgment for it, would you put it out? Make a door and a bar for your mouth. And when you begin to do these things, y'all can really move and restore your marriage that you believe at this time could be failing. Chapter 32 is my last one. Verse 8. Let your speech be short. This is interesting, Jennifer. I want to know your thoughts because this is a self-temperance requirement. Let your speech be short, comprehending much in a few words. Be as one that knows, but yet holds your tongue. Jennifer?
Sister Ashley, I'm telling you, that word is so right on about weighing your words and letting your speech be short, comprehending much. How many of us actually comprehend before we even speak? How many are so just focused on getting everything out, everything that's on our heart, just getting it out. I have to tell him everything that's on my heart. I've got to get this off my chest. But you don't weigh your words. You speak those words is something that is just so hard to take back. You speak those words, you do so much damage, and you don't understand the consequence of it. Pastor talks a lot about idle words, how we're going to be judged for the words that we just speak without even thinking. You know, how many times do we think before we speak? How many times do we not even answer the question? You know, I find that women, we do this a lot. Our husbands will ask us a question, and we don't answer the question. He's asking a question, and it just requires a simple answer, but we want to explain everything else instead of just answering the question. You want to upset your husband? Don't answer the question. You know, explain why you did it and all that. He's not even asking that. He's asking, did you do this? And the answer is either yes or no. He's not asking why you went about it this way. No, answer the question. And if he needs more information, he'll ask you to explain. Sister Ashley?
Very good words. I was thinking about, I'm going to go over to Titus and try to find something. After 23 years of marriage, and I spoke to her just as respectfully as she spoke to me. I had told her that I could not speak to her from experience, and I wasn't giving her any direction. I was just trying to, that's what I told her, I'm not giving you any direction. I'm wanting you to realize the standard that you have to live up to according to the word. If I can find it. I have different translations, so my books are different. Can you go to 1 Timothy 5, Sister Jennifer? Read it with me. So, remember David's concubines, right? And their character and nature wasn't to just up and flee. And we're going to go now to 1 Timothy 5. Let's go to... Just start reading, my sister. At least read. This is behavior management that Paul is writing Timotheus. Okay, so read chapter 5, verse 1 of 1 Timothy all the way to verse 7.
Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren, the elder women as mothers, the younger as sisters, with all purity. Honor widows that are widows indeed. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home, and to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before Yah. Now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in Yah, and continueth in supplications and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. And these things give in charge, that they may be blameless.
Once again, there's the word blameless, speaking of the judgment for your behavior. And going down into verse 9, do not enroll a widow unless she is over 60 years of age, having been the wife of one man. This is an interesting point to make, because a wife that was a widow indeed only had one husband. One husband. And listen to the works that she had as a widow. Well reported for good works. If she had brought up children, she had lodged strangers, she had washed the feet of the disciples, if she had assisted the afflicted, if she has closely followed every good work. Okay, so this was a woman that was esteemed high because of her behavior and her blamelessness. And she was the wife of, she wasn't looking to go be free and find someone else. You can't, as a woman in a marriage, seek to be free without knowing or thinking that there has to be another option out there, another man, another sexual partner, another life, some kind of freedom, right? This is a woman of one man, the wife of one man. But you know what it also says here in verse 11? Refuse the younger widows, for when they become headstrong against the Hamashiach, they desire to marry, having guilt, because they put aside their first belief. So, having guilt, once again, because there is judgment. Regardless of whether you believe that we will all be judged, all men are under the Torah. Not all men believing are under the Messiah, as Paul says. But do we nullify the Torah because of how we all believe? Do we just pick the greatest opinion and follow it? No. On the contrary, we establish the Torah, which is what Pastor does here. He establishes the Torah so that we may all follow, and no excuses are going to be permissible. Sister Jennifer, any more thoughts for this woman who is, if you could address, feeling like a maid, but she also said that every YouTube channel that is associated with Pastor Dow that she has seen belittles women, and she's very confused on how her role should be with her, what she believes a husband that is barking orders, and she's trying her best to submit. Nothing's good enough, and she's supposed to just take it. Go ahead.
You know, Sister Ashley, I'm happy that this woman is at least reaching out, but you know, I really hope and pray that, you know, a woman who has a mindset such as this is willing to go through extreme measures to actually get her mind to change to what Yah's word says. You know, you have to be really, truly honest with yourself if you are going to be delivered from a mindset. You know, you say you want help, which is a great thing, but you have to tackle any lack of honesty that you may have in you. You have to be willing to look at yourself, and you have to be willing to compare your mindset to Yah's word. You know, where is my mind contrary to Yah's word? And then once you see the areas that you're contrary, be willing to actually change it. So that's all I wanted to add.
Very good. So, because we have successful marriages, the voices that you hear tonight, myself and Sister Jennifer, we have really awesome examples of marriage before us to follow. Questions can always come up. Questions can always be answered, and there's always room for improvement and growth. But we come from very strong homes, so with any instability in your mind or maybe in your home right now, you might not understand the strength that we come from, and your emotions are going to play a part in your decision making until you truly get yourself in line with the Most High Yah. And I hope that you would understand, even as earlier where the sister said or had chatted, you mean, you know, she's going to go out without food? Well, remember in Exodus 21, it's his marital duties that he's not living up to. So how is he going to supply her when she departs? You're either not giving her food, raiment, or conjugal rights. You're not doing something for her. The issue was not because you took another one. It was because you're not providing your duties of marriage. So you're going to go out free without money. All right, so I think we've said enough on that. And I hope that no one feels like a maid. And honestly, I am a maid. I am a maid. I pick up after someone continually with joy, day in and day out. But everyone here, because we live in common unity, we serve one another all the time, and it's truly a delight and a joy to do it. I pick up everything that my husband wants me to pick up, and I pick up everything that he leaves behind. I try to do something before he even asks for it. I try to please him in all points, because if he's not happy, how's the house going to be happy? Jennifer?
You know, I think about that too, Sister Ashley. I believe that when you look at what your husband does, you know, the fact that they go out, they provide for you. When I look at everything that my master has going on, everything that he takes care of from day to day, the fact that I have a roof over my head, I'm very well taken care of. The least I could do, the least I could do is pick up after him, cook for him, make sure he has what he needs, make sure that, you know, his body remains in order. Whatever I can do to alleviate any type of pressure or stress, that I will do, because, you know, that's the only way that I can truly show my gratitude is to submit to him and to do my role. He should never, ever have to worry about me, or he should never, ever have to be concerned about me because I'm out of order. That is the last thing that he needs. You know, the world gives our men so much stress. They throw so much at our men. And the least that we could do is provide a clean home, a really good meal, a good healthy meal, whatever we can to relieve the stress. And I just wanted to say one more thing, you know, about
Very good. I'm trying to find a scripture. All right. So I believe that it can be, depending on who's listening or hearing, it can be offensive for you to call your husband master. Maybe because of the atrocities done to the Hugh people, the African people, the Hebrew people, and because you would call no man master, you don't understand our intention. Can you speak on that? Why you call Elder Rufus your master?
Yes, ma'am, because I belong to him. I am his. I've been bought and paid for, just like I belong to the Messiah. He is my head. Elder Rufus is my head, and I truly am his possession. And I think that's, another term that women have trouble addressing, we have trouble accepting. But I truly am his possession. Women, we are possessions. And so that's why I call him master.
All right.
Mr. Ashley?
Very good. All right, so I'm going to hit a ministry break, and we'll be right back. Thanks to everyone who is chatting, watching live. I'm keeping up with your questions and your comments. Blessings to you. Blessings to our listeners on Blog Talk Radio. I'll be right back. Let's hear our beloved Sister Wenda's voice.
Shalom, this is Sister Wenda. I hope that all of you are enjoying the broadcast that you're listening to right now. We appreciate each and every last one of you, our faithful listeners and supporters of the Straitway Truth radio broadcast. We try to make sure that we do our due diligence and do our best to ensure that you have the best broadcast as well as the truth coming to you in the hour that we're living in right now. If you would like to help us in this endeavor, your offering will be greatly appreciated in the work of the ministry of the Most High Yah. Our mailing address for your gift, offering, or letter of support is Charles Dowell Jr. That's Charles Dowell Jr. And Dowell is spelled Dowell. 506 Ellington Drive. Ellington is spelled Ellington. P.O. Box 32, Lafayette, Tennessee. And Lafayette is spelled Lafayettee, 37083. Again, our mailing address is Charles Dowell Jr., 506 Ellington Drive, P.O. Box 32, Lafayette, Tennessee, 37083. If you would like to contact us by way of phone, the country code is 1, area code 615-688-3025. That's 1-615-688-3025. You may leave a message there, and, be the Father's will, we will do whatever we can to try to return your message. It is our hope and our prayer that as you continue to listen to the Straitway Truth ministry, and as you apply the teachings of this ministry, that you are finding peace and growth within you, your family, and life as well. Please tell others so that the truth may also have an impact and touch others' lives, so that they may enjoy the benefits of the truth of Jesus Christ, just like we all are. Shalom, the King is coming.
Hallelujah. So, I call my husband by his name, Doug. I call him Deacon because that's a respectful title that he's been ordained by. And when we say the word master, it's not because we are speaking one-on-one with him and saying it often. You can. What we mean is it's a heart condition. I'm going to shut this door, Sister Jennifer. Talk to me a little bit more. I think we need some more clarity on why we would say master.
Yes, ma'am. You know, Sister Ashley, it really is acknowledging the fact that you are his servant. And I want to address one more thing. You know, when you are in a marriage, there are different roles, different hats, I want to say, that you wear. Like, for example, I need to know when my husband is dealing with me as husband, or when he's dealing with me as, sometimes we're taking care of business. There are things that need to be done. And so, I'm his assistant. I need to know when he's addressing me in a certain way, what hat we're wearing at certain times. If he's speaking to me in a certain way, I need to understand that. It's not always going to be where he's going to be calling me beloved or whatever. Sometimes he's calling me Sister Jennifer because he needs to know something right away. So I don't need to be offended. It's just about having the discernment and understanding that, you just got to get stuff done. You can't walk around all day giving each other goo-goo eyes, I guess, what the world calls it. But you have to understand and know what hat is he wearing right now. And that's how I need to function. I'm rolling with however he's rolling. He's not here to roll with the way, that I'm rolling or whatever I'm doing. I'm here to fit whatever he needs me to be at that moment. Sister Ashley?
Very good. So back to this ministry, for example. It is the most, to me, priceless example of a remnant of the Most High's people that I've ever witnessed. I don't have any reason to travel far and wide because we truly have all the fruits of the Spirit here. So much peace here. I wanted to share another picture. Now this is interesting because all this just came, just entered into my heart as I was leaving to come into Pastor Dow's office, right? What pastor allows anybody to come in and out of his office? Or hey, I drove a car that pastor would call his today. Just gave me the keys. I needed to run somewhere, so I drove it. Could you imagine driving your pastor's car and it's a Mercedes and it's nice? Yeah, I can do that. I needed to go somewhere. Oh, and he gave me his credit card and I used it. Go figure. So back to this ministry again. Look at my picture. The fruit of my husband's home, our union. Okay? This has to be blessing someone because it just was really strongly in my mind to bring it. And to the couple who did this work of art for me, thank you so much. This is my oldest son. I say mine, but he's not mine. He belongs to my husband. And as long as I'm obedient to my husband, I am saying mine because he's my responsibility. My oldest son, my middle son, and my youngest son, all in age order. Each of them having videos on YouTube. One of these was Blog Talk, but I'm just leaving it up here for you guys to see for a second. So, jumping to children for a moment. Being able to respect your husband's desires for his children. Most men, although very involved in their children's lives, they don't give a lot of directions. They're overseers, so they're gonna correct you or give you direction if they don't like something they see, because it is your role to know what to do. It's your role to know how to handle things, know how to balance and juggle life, know how to raise your children to respect your husband. If you violated any of these things or have made many mistakes back talking your husband in front of your children, or demeaning him, tearing him down, just being influenced by the demonic and negative thoughts in this world, you want to seek repentance, my sisters. You want to try your utmost to regain and restore anything that you've lost and be blameless. And I share this photo because not just yes, I love my children. I love all children, Straitway children. That's the only ones I know, I should say. Look at this man. This is Pastor Charles Dow holding my husband's children. This is a very personal pastor, not a micromanaging pastor. But he would take the time to say, hey, bring little guy by the office. I'll do a video with him. You can find these videos online even still. Or and then I had him years later, 3 years later. Hey, bring him by the office. And I had him 2 years later. And he said, give me little guy. And he's done this for many different children. He is a very huge part of every person's life that he's ever come in contact with. Or at least, within the ministry. Jennifer, help me out.
Sister Ashley, I think about just the ministry as a whole and the protection that our children have and how blessed we are to be under such a wonderful covering. The children, when you look at the man Pastor Dow is and how many people are just so resistant to the truth going forth, but the children love Pastor Dow. They truly do. And you think about the children that are born safe on the land there, safe on communities that are all around, that don't have to worry about anything, Social Security numbers, birth certificates, don't have to worry about any of that. We don't have to worry about hospital bills. We have home births. We have truly been blessed with so much wisdom. And, the children are truly protected in this ministry, and the women are protected in this ministry. It's such a blessing. And the children, they're going to take on the heart condition of the wife, the heart condition of whatever the wife displays toward her husband. As it relates to your husband, your children are going to sense whatever is in your heart, and that is what they are going to feel and display towards their father. So if you walk around looking oppressed, or you're always sad, or whatever it may be, you don't know how to take correction, you don't know how to take rebuke, and you play the victim card, what do you think is going to happen to your children as they grow up? They're going to see that in you, and they're going to think that, well, mommy was a victim. They're going to grow up the same way. They're not going to know or understand how to receive love if you don't know how to receive love, if you've continually rejected it. So don't turn your children against their father. Do not do that. You'll have a price to pay for that. Sister Ashley?
Absolutely. I brought something else that's not so interesting. Check this out, y'all. I have degrees. Look, I told y'all I didn't even dust them off. These things, I couldn't even believe I still had them when it came in my mind to bring these things. These are my associate's degree, I think that's my high school diploma. Everybody got one of those, right? My associate's degree and my bachelor degree. And most of you don't maybe know me personally, so it wouldn't really matter, right? It's proof right here. Wait, maybe I should open one up. Yeah, hold on. Open one up and show you proof. Look, so y'all don't go searching. Bam. See my name? Ashley Michelle Bohannon. That's what I used to be before I was a Belle. These mean nothing to me. This is kind of like the faulty marriage certificates that some of you may have, right? These mean nothing to me. That's why I was surprised I still had them. I had hundreds of trophies and hundreds of rewards and hundreds of brass and silver and gold and all those, I said brass, bronze, medals and things from sports and competitions and things like that. And I remember when I came this way, I took all that. I had a second bedroom in my apartment, and it was just loaded with them. And I packed them in my like totes or whatever and hauled them out to the dumpster. That was actually hard to do at that time because I held on to a lot of that. I held on to who I was in the world, which was nobody, but I had defined success according to my achievements and what I wanted to do. And because that was working for me, the reason, you might ask, why did I get rid of it? Not only is it very idolatrous to have all of that imagery in your room, but it exalts you above the knowledge of Christ, above who you should be. So I, just like some of you, have taken a lot of steps back and a lot of steps down in order to put his ways into my mind and my conscience. I had to learn him, and I'm still learning him. And so things aren't going to make sense at first. You just need to obey. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. And, you know, Sister Ashley, so many times we try to figure things out. It has to make sense with our brain in order for us to do it, when all the Father is asking us to do is just simply obey. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times you just have to obey, and then he brings the understanding as you obey. You know, I didn't understand why I was covering my head in the beginning. I just knew I was going to Straitway, and these women had on skirts and head covers, and I wanted to honor their custom. And so I did the same thing. And as I started really digging into my word, he brought the understanding of why I was doing what I was doing. You know, why cover? And then he brought the understanding of who I really was. So a lot of times if you just obey, he knows that he can trust you enough to give you the wisdom behind your obedience. Sister Ashley?
That's it, my sister. I'm wrapping up my thoughts from this end. I just wanted to I wanted to thank Pastor Dow and the Straitway Ministries for everything that they've done for me, specifically Pastor Dow, for allowing me to sit in his office, in his chair tonight, and show my face to some of you who have never, ever, ever seen me before. I represent, as I said earlier, a lot of women, and we collectively as women strive to be Proverbs 31. It's not just, Proverbs 31 is like a cliche in the Christian church where it's become a joke, really. But somewhere out there, yes, and here, there are Proverbs 31 women. There are women who are, submitted wholeheartedly to the purpose that their husband has for them and what Christ has for them. And when I committed myself to the Most High, I made a covenant agreement with him. That was not just a piece of paper, right? Obviously, there is no paper. It was a union that said, I will. And whatever he required of me, I will do. And I can't go back on that. And I've seen a lot go back on their commitment. But once again, you have to question, were they ever really in covenant with the Father from the beginning? So tonight I think was just a really good way to initiate thought in some of your marriages or some of your behavior, because you haven't known Christ, you haven't known the ways of the Father, and you haven't known Torah. All men are under Torah, remember that, so you will be judged. And it's important that you get on board with the truth and follow it wholeheartedly, because our King is soon to come. Sister Jennifer, any more thoughts to wrap up your end?
No, ma'am. I just have a scripture to read, and I'm done.
All right. So will you tell everyone how to find us? Because it's not weekly that we are on YouTube Live.
Yes, ma'am. You can go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Straitway. www.blogtalkradio.com/Straitway. And you will be able to listen to the Sister to Sister broadcast every 5th day night. That would be Thursday night. Or you can call in to the phone number that is 310-982-4226, 310-982-4226, and you will be able to listen live. If you want to call in and ask a question, you can press the number 1, and it will let Sister Ashley know that you have a question in the queue. Sister Ashley?
Yes, ma'am. So my close sisters who I share an app with on my phone and communicate to each of you as well as you communicate to me, don't laugh that I was going to cover everything that y'all asked. Okay, here's all the emails and here's all the questions. Look, I got 3 pages. I'm acting like I got a lot, right? It is a lot. It's front to back questions. I shorthanded them so that we could answer them all, and we only answered too. And we didn't get to the topic that I asked each of you to send an email. So guess what? That means we're going to have some really awesome private communications going forth on our app, on our phone. And thank you to every sister who is committed to her husband, who is willing to be an example, to be blameless, and to watch her home grow, because Yah can do mighty, mighty things. And remember to just close your mouth and just submit. Just submit and obey. Please end tonight's show. Bless you, Sister Jennifer.
Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands, as unto Yahweh. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Shalom.
And Yahweh Elohim said,
It is not good for the man to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as his counterpart.
Holy Yahweh Almighty, we're singing, Holy